Hi everyone, I'm Keisha White and I am a brand and web designer. I help consultants, coaches, and other professional service providers create a lead generating digital presence that attracts high caliber clients and opportunities. I have a few ways that you can work with me. You can work with me through my mini website option, which is for a one-page website. And you can also work with me through my 5-page website option. And you can add brand identity design onto both of those. And then there's also the option to join my branding club if you are in the super beginner stages of business and you want some guidance on how to DIY your brand identity and your website and some marketing strategies to help you get your name out there and to start getting clients. So you can get the details on all of that at the link in the description with this video. And also make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the video as well so you can be notified when I upload. So today I am going to talk all about my logo design process. And I do not do logo design as a separate one-off service most of the time. I only do that as a service of its own by request only. So for example, if someone was coming to me for a 5-page website or a 1-page website, and maybe they already have their brand colors and they have a color palette and they want a refreshed or new logo, then when they request it as an add-on to a web design package, then I will do it. But as a standalone thing, that's not something that I offer as someone who does this work full time. And it's because I also primarily target small business owners for the work that I do as well. So when you're doing logo design in the small biz sector, it's there's kind of only so much you can charge for just a logo only. And honestly, it does people a disservice to just give them a logo and to not go through the full brand identity design process. And so for a recap of what brand identity includes, if it's a new term to you, but brand identity includes everything that can create the visual identity for your brand. So this includes your brand color palette, which is usually a set of 3 to 5 colors that are going to be used everywhere to brand anything for your business, whether it's your website or business cards or brochures or PowerPoint slides, speaker, one sheets, anything. It's all going to have the same color palette because that's your brand, your designated brand color palette. And then another element of brand identity is a mood board. And what a mood board is a collage of images that illustrates the visual look and feel for your brand. So it has images in like a collage style type of thing where you can see like, okay, this is the type of imagery that makes sense for my brand. Then you also will have a brand font pairing. So you'll have a font for headlines. You'll also have a font for paragraph text, and then maybe even an accent font as well. Most of the time it's just 2 fonts in a font pairing. Every now and then there may be 3 if someone does an accent font for you. And then there's usually a brand accent pattern, and then of course the logo design. So the logo includes like a main logo, then you typically have alternate logos, you have versions for light and dark backgrounds, and then you have logo marks and icons. So to me, people need all of that stuff to properly brand their business because you don't need just one logo. That's going to be very limiting. You need logos that are going to fit in different spaces, which is what those alternates are for. You need designated brand colors to brand everything. You need designated fonts so you can have the same cohesive look everywhere. So if you just have a logo only, you're missing out on the rest of those elements and you have no cohesiveness in your colors, no cohesiveness in your fonts, and then it can make the business look a little unpolished and unprofessional. But anyway, just wanted to give that background on why I don't offer logo design as a one-off service, but still wanted to just do this video to just give you a little bit of insight on what the logo design process is like for me and for my clients. So for logo design for me and my clients, I typically begin with the brand strategy first. So it's not all about jumping straight to the visuals because I have to have some type of foundation to figure out like what elements do I even want to include in the actual design of the logo. So I always begin when I'm doing brand identity, and again, this is all tied together for me in my world. And so whenever I'm doing brand identity, I start by digging into the client's business and asking them questions about their business, what makes them unique, how do they want their brand to look and feel to the world, how do they want it to come off to others, and all that type of stuff. And so this gives me the background information that I need in order to design. And so once I get the answers to these questions, I do a strategy session that I conduct through a Zoom call live with my client. So we'll talk together in depth all about their brand, their target clients, how they want to come off, like what's their future vision and goals for their business. Like, are they trying to get speaking engagements or corporate contracts or attract just women, or do they want to attract men and women? And just trying to hear that whole future vision so I can make sure what I'm designing is in alignment with their overall goals for the business, and it's unique to whatever makes them unique and different. So once we get all that information in that Zoom conducted strategy session, then I go on to the mood board stage. And so in the mood board stage, I create the brand color palette and then the visual look and feel. And so sometimes when I'm designing a logo, some of the elements that I may have in the mood board could inspire the logo. So sometimes as I'm making a mood board, it may have like font samples in the mood board, or maybe there is a certain like accent pattern that I include in the mood board that ends up being a good like piece of inspiration for the logo. And then of course all the colors that are in the mood board are going to be the colors that I put in the logo. So I've started here because I don't just jump straight to design. Like, there has to be some type of just meaning and strategy behind it before I can even design anything in Photoshop and do all that technical stuff. So that just pulls up the background for like the meaning, the background, how do I get to the final to the design stage. And so once we have all this information from the strategy session and then the mood board with the colors and any patterns or font samples or imagery that may inspire the logo, then I'm finally ready to get into logo design steps. So for the logo design steps, I begin with searching for inspiration on Pinterest, just to kind of gives us some design. I kind of like pull bits and pieces from different things I see sometimes on Pinterest. And then sometimes I'll have something inspired just in my mind that where I don't need Pinterest, but I still like to look up things on Pinterest first. And then I start to sketch the logos out on paper. And then from there, I take them from paper to Photoshop and do them all in black and white. And then, well, actually before the Photoshop piece, I have to search for fonts that kind of fit the inspiration and the vision I have in mind. Fonts and any vectors. So like if we need any vector symbols or icons to be included in the logo. And then with the fonts and vector symbols, I start to do them in Photoshop first in black and white. And then once I like the designs in black and white, then I add the color last. And typically when I present logos to clients, I only present 4, because you don't want clients to be too overwhelmed and presenting them with excessive options. So you want to limit it to only 4. And then so sometimes as I'm going through this design process, I may end up with more than 4. So once I add the colors to them, then I kind of do some elimination to say like, okay, which ones do I want to take to the final round to present to clients. And then that is pretty much it. So I'm going to do some screen sharing coming up next to kind of walk you through those steps for a fictional brand that I came up with. I came up with the fictional name to kind of walk you through this in example. So I just called it the Corporate Wellness Guru. So I wanted to call it that because it has a little bit of meaning to it. So whenever you see wellness, you know, I typically associate the color green with that because green has that Zen, spa-like wellness meaning behind it. And then it's kind of related to corporate. So I always pull some what I call the corporate blue into any brand that's related to corporate. So yeah, so I want to show you my logo design process for this fictional brand so you can see how it works. Okay, so here is the brand strategy session worksheet here. And these are a sample of the types of questions that I would typically ask. This isn't my exact workbook that I take clients through, but it's pretty close. So I wanted to just walk through this because this is what would begin a logo design process. So of course we have client name, the corporate wellness guru. Then I always like to know what's the company mission and focus so I can design based on that. So we have this business leads wellness and stress relief trainings for employees to help them feel better at work, improve their productivity, and to help companies increase employee retention. And I always like to ask clients, what do they want the look and feel of their brand to be? So for this, I came up with some words like welcoming, calming, like a breath of fresh air, peaceful, professional, and knowledgeable. And then also, how would they describe their ideal clients? Because I always like to make sure my designs are created to appeal to the types of clients they want to attract. So we have ideal clients are ambitious, they prioritize wellness and work goals, they want well rounded lives, they work in jobs that could be stressful. Then, how do you want people to feel after they receive their services? So we have relieved, relaxed, like they can better handle their stressful job. And then we have what's unique about you and your approach. So I always like to ask clients this because this is what typically helps me design something unique for their industry and not just go with the typical industry standard of what you tend to see for a certain area. So for this fictional example, I mentioned a bubbly personality. Someone who maybe had a stressful corporate job in the past and used their own techniques. They incorporate yoga and mindfulness strategies into the work. Individual employees get custom wellness plans, and they're also a certified dietitian, so they incorporate diet as well. So when I have information like this, what I typically do is go through the information and look for keywords that I can have on my mind as I'm creating the mood board, which is going to set the visual tone. So of course we have words like wellness definitely stands out to me. So this is a word I would definitely zero in on. Um, what else? The welcoming, calming words, I would definitely zero in on those. Then the breath of fresh air, peaceful, would definitely zero in on those two. And then I put professional and knowledgeable because I feel like all of my clients tend to use those words and they're not super unique. So I probably wouldn't zero in on those so much because everybody wants to be professional and knowledgeable. Um, so we have wellness again. And I do also tend to look for words that overlap too when I'm doing this. So words that overlap that pop up multiple times, those tend to be words that are really important. Then we have relaxed. I love that as a word. And then bubbly personality. That's definitely something unique, especially for someone in wellness. Some people in wellness tend to be super chill. And then if you are bubbly, that's unique and different. And then what else? The dietitian piece is unique too, because it kind of relates to food and diet too. So yeah, so as I would be working on a mood board, I would be considering these words. So like what type of imagery would connect to wellness and what type of colors would represent wellness. Then what type of colors and imagery would represent something that feels calming and welcoming, like that breath of fresh air. What type of imagery and colors would represent peacefulness, and what type of imagery and colors would represent being relaxed, having a bubbly personality, and maybe even the dietitian part. So this is what's giving me some direction on what to go on because there's so much that we can choose from as designers. So you need some type of direction like this first so you don't get overwhelmed, and then so you can pick something that's going to be unique to your clients too. So here we are in Photoshop now, and this is the mood board that I created based on the information from the strategy session. So typically in the wellness space, you do see a lot of green, and then in the corporate consulting space, you see a lot of blue shades. So I wanted to design something unique to this example. So I went with a more green color palette with a pop of orange for a pop of color to make it different. Um, and the reason why I pulled in the orange was because in one of the questions from the strategy session, a bubbly personality was mentioned, and then orange represents being energetic and bubbly in color psychology. And then, of course, our green shades represent wellness and that sense of calmness as well. And then we also have these neutrals down here, like a deep gray that's almost black. So that would probably be like font colors for definitely for paragraph fonts, and maybe even like line colors for like little plant outlines like this. And then we have just a neutral there. You can see it a little bit, but it's just a light neutral that's almost white. And so for imagery style, incorporated image of like a fresh, modern, welcoming office for like that welcoming breath of fresh air look and feel. And then also very just modern too, because typically a more hip, like modern client would be open to like wellness and actually care to prioritize it. And then since another thing that was mentioned in the
questionnaire in the strategy session about what made this person unique was that they had a dietitian background. So put some like fresh fruits and veggies as one imagery type of inspiration for the mood board. And then the leaves always feel nice and just calming and welcoming too, to align with that calming, welcoming breath of fresh air feel. And then sometimes in mood boards, I incorporate font samples. So here we have a serif font combined with a handwritten font. And I like this for like the kind of vibe that I'm going for this brand. So I incorporated a font sample. The quote really has nothing to do with anything. I just like the font pairing and the green shade. And then the last little piece here in the mood board are the little accent leaves. So since I incorporated that, that likely would be some inspiration for the logo design too. So we're likely going to see some type of leaf pattern in the logos as well. So now that we have the mood board, we have the colors to incorporate in the logo. Likely it'll probably be, these two will probably be the leading colors. I may end up with some examples with the orange in it, but we'll see once I start playing around, because like I mentioned before, I'd start all the designs in black and white and then I add the color last, kind of based on what's going to be the best fit for the color. So up next, we are going to do the next stage, which is searching for logo inspiration through Pinterest. Okay, so here we are in Pinterest, and I like to start by looking for logo inspiration. So I kind of scroll through and take a look at what types of fonts speak to me that I could possibly use in the client's logo, and what types of symbols speak to me as well, because it may not necessarily be the whole logo that speaks to me, but it could be little elements. And so since this is a wellness related brand that I'm designing for, I just started out by searching wellness logos, and I definitely don't copy anything necessarily to the T at all, because I'm designing something unique, but I'm just starting here to just look for elements of inspiration that could possibly be a fit. So yes, so I kind of scroll through for a while. I don't really have a certain number of items that I pin for inspiration, but once I feel like I kind of have a good starting point with the items I have pinned down, then I take it from there to from Pinterest to doing my own custom sketches on paper. They're very messy, not cute, but I just do the sketches on paper based on the inspiration, and then I design my actual logos that I want to design. Okay, so here we are with the items that I ended up pinning. I just pinned just a few for this. So the ones that I will likely try to sketch out is more so going to be based on the type of symbols that I want to try. So I do want to try a symbol with maybe multicolor circles behind the leaf. It won't look exactly like this, but definitely love this concept since I have the pop of color with the orange and the green. And then I also want to try just a simple leaf symbol, maybe like this. I probably wouldn't face it to the side. I may have it standing up like one of these leaves. And then want to try a, this is kind of, I like this minimal lotus flower symbol since the fictional client has a yoga background as well. And then what other I might try is probably something more on the minimalistic side. I like this serif font. I don't like the symbol here, so probably won't do that, but I'll probably do something with like a serif font, but no symbols at all. So I'm gonna sketch them out first on paper and then take them from paper. Well, I have to find the fonts after that, and then take them from paper to Photoshop.
Okay, so here are the logo designs on paper. These are very rough sketches. I am not a sketch artist, but I just get them out on paper first because I need to know what I'm going to do in Photoshop, because I can't jump straight into Photoshop without knowing what I'm doing. So I have 4 concepts that I want to create in Photoshop. So the first one, I kind of labeled them based on the type of font that I want to look for each one. So for this one, I want it to be probably a lightweight sans serif font for the corporate wellness piece. And then for Guru, I want it to be a handwritten font for that. And then for this one, I want this one to be a more classic serif font. And then I want to do the leaf icon symbol with like some type of kind of probably a light green blob type of thing behind it. So that one will have a cool, unique look. And then for this one, I want to do one of the more modern fonts. Some of those modern fonts kind of look in the middle of serif and sans serif. So I'm going to pick one of those for that. And then I want to do a leaf icon again, but with two circles behind it. So like maybe an orange circle and a green to do those two main pops of color from the color palette. And then our last concept, I want to use like a heavier modern font for this one. So for this one, I'm going to look for, like I said, a more heavy font. And the symbol, I know this looks super like a kid drew it, but it's going to be some type of like lotus flower symbol there with a heavier, more modern font. So we'll see them in Photoshop in a second once I find the fonts.
Close to an O, so not sure about that. But anytime I do see a font that I like and I'm not sure about it, I just pull it up in a new tab so I can remember it. And then I can come back to it once I get in the Photoshop stage. So usually scroll through a few pages until I get a few samples to work with that I at least like to get started. And then I end up kind of playing around with them and mixing and matching in Photoshop to figure out which samples are the ones that I really want to use and move forward with. Okay, so I found a few sans serif fonts over in Adobe that I like that I want to give a try in Photoshop. So next I want to look for a handwritten font for Guru. And so now I'm on thefont.com. And this is really where I like to start for handwritten fonts only, to be honest, because I don't love their serif and sans serif options. They may have a few here and there that are okay, but they definitely have an okay amount of handwritten fonts. And then this is a free site, so I prefer to start with a free handwritten font if I can find it. And then if I can't find a free handwritten font that I like, then I'll go over to creativemarket.com. And over there, you have to purchase the fonts. So since Guru is the part that's going to be in the handwritten font, I type that here in the preview box. And then I just scroll through until I find one that where the letters look good. One of the drawbacks of handwritten fonts is that the letters aren't always pronounced when depending on which font you pick. So it kind of makes it hard to use these sometimes in like in sentences and stuff on the website. It could be like, oh, one word, maybe the word the looks really great in the font, but then you try to use another word like food or something like that, and you see the F looks terrible and it's hard to read. So finding a good handwritten font can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes. But when you're doing it for logo design, it's not too bad because at least you just need the font just for the logo only. So I do like this one, this authentic signature. So I'll likely go with that because it feels very pronounced. I might have that on my computer already, honestly. And I do kind of like this modern line. I know I have that on my computer already. So yep, so we have a couple for that. So I'm gonna stop there for those. So here we are back in Adobe Fonts. So now I'm looking for one of those modern fonts that I was referring to for one of the designs. So I clicked on the luxury category with sans serif over here in Adobe Fonts. So I'm liking this one, this contralto font for one of them for the lighter weight modern font. And then I also want a heavier one too. I want to see if I can find one of those. I have to take the sans serif off. So we'll see what they have for that in here. And then for the final font that I need to pick out, that one is just going to be a classic serif font. So no kind of things out of the blue there. It's just going to be nice and classic. So almost done with the fonts. So once I source all the fonts, then I'll be over in Adobe Photoshop to create the logo designs. So here we are back in Photoshop with the final fonts that I was going for each of the designs. So this one was the font that I selected for the thin sans serif font. And then this one to pair with it for the handwritten font. And then this one I selected for the classic serif font. And then these two were the more modern. So this one was like the heavier weight modern font. And then this one was the lighter weight version. And so what I want to do next is look for vectors to add for the symbols, because for this one, I want the leaf symbol with the like kind of like color behind it. And then for this one, I want the leaf symbol with the two circles behind it. And then for this one, I want to try the lotus flower vector or symbol. So I don't typically draw symbols from scratch. I like to look for the vectors, especially when it's something like leaves and plants and stuff like that. So I'm gonna do a little quick Google searching and pull those in, and then make all of them black. And then once everything is in, then I'm gonna add the color. So here I am over in Google, and I'm gonna search branch vector to try to find a few options for that. And then I like to go over to the images area to see what the options are. Uh, and then I'd like to kind of go through them to see which ones fit the look and feel that I'm going for. This one definitely does, and I like that it's free too. So that's nice. It's always nice when vectors are free, because I will pay for vectors for clients sometimes, but it depends on what it is. So if it's something that I have client approval on, or if it's something that I really, really need to create the design, then I'll pay for it. But again, before I pay for it, I make sure the clients actually like it. Because if they don't even like it and I'm over here paying for something, then it's going to be a waste of my money. So you always want to make sure your clients like something first before you spend some money on it as a designer. So I think I might end up going with this one and kind of crop one of these out and use it. And then I want to find the Lotus. Let me open image in a new tab to save that. So I got it in a new tab to save it. And then next I want to find Lotus outline vector, because I want a nice like thin outline of the lotus flower. I don't want like heavy lotus flower. So I'm gonna find the symbol for this and then head over to Photoshop, and then we'll be able to finalize them with all the colors. Okay, so here we are with the logos with the vectors all added. This I found as a vector too for the green watercolor, so it was already in green, so that's why the color is there for that already. But for everything else, I haven't added the color yet. So for this stage, I like to pull the mood board in over to like the side of the logo so I can grab the colors off the mood board, and then so I can kind of design, making sure things are in alignment with the way the mood board looks. So for adding color, let's start here. I'll probably here will use the dark green as our leading color for corporate and wellness. And since corporate and wellness are two of the primary words here, I want to make both of those the same color. And for guru, not sure. I might do either light green or orange. I want to try orange first just for something different. So now that I tried that, don't like it. So let's try the light green. Yeah, definitely like the light green a lot better for this, for the accent word. And then I'm going to color the, kind of want to do, did want to do light green, but that's too small to do light green. So just going to go with the dark green for that. And then Guru kind of pops as it's in that light color there. So definitely a fun one here for this logo. I could also see this being just all green. So sometimes or all dark green, when I'm working on adding color, I'll play around with it and kind of compare two versions side by side. So since I could see this being all dark green, I'm going to try that out too for Guru. So gonna make that dark green. So I could see both of them definitely working well. To me, this one is just a little more, I guess, unique since Guru is in light green. So I guess I'll do away. Oops. I'll do away with this second version that I created down here. And so for the others, now that I'm seeing the lotus flower with this, I really do not like it. So I think I'm going to end up just forgetting this symbol. And I know definitely for corporate, I want to go with dark green there. And then wellness, for sure want to go with dark green for that. And I might do guru in light green again for this one too, for this more modern font. And then since D is in a heavier weight, I think I also do a light green for D as well for this one. So this one looks very cool, very calming. Definitely liking this one a lot. Don't really want to add any orange in here. That's not really fitting in too well. I like the play on the two greens. So I'm going to just keep that one as it is there. And then this one, we already have the light green behind it with the watercolor. So I'm going to just color the plant in the front. So with this plant, not sure which color I'm going to do, but I'm going to do a clipping mask. So I'm adding a rectangle over it. Oops, I need to fill it. Let's make it filled and take off the stroke. And then you right click and do create clipping mask. So I'm going to try dark green first. for this rectangle color. Okay, definitely don't like that at all. So we can try orange next. We do not like that at all. So next, let's try our dark gray. I guess that'll be probably our best bet. Yeah, definitely the dark gray. That's the best one there. And then for the corporate wellness guru, might end up doing all dark gray here too, honestly, to just do something a little different. So even though this font is pretty much all black, but I'm making it a little bit lighter to match the gray here from the mood board. So definitely feeling the light gray the most there. And then for this last one here, I know for the leaf, we're definitely going to go with dark gray again for this because I want to make the circles the color for this one. Oh, I keep having these open rectangles. But want to make the circles the color. So I'm going to do right click, create clipping mask to add my custom color in here. And so let's see, I don't know which one I want to be the bigger circle. So I think I'll try the green first and then make the orange the smaller one. And then the orange is a little bit sheer, so it's kind of like complementing the light green pretty well. And then for corporate, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I might, since this is kind of a little busy with the gray circles, maybe keep this all gray too, to just make it not having too much going on with those. When you're starting to play with colors sometimes behind logos, it can get so busy with doing too much. So I think I'm going to keep all these in the gray from the color palette. So I'm going to make sure all these are colored properly. Theme, and then wellness guru. Okay. And I'm still not loving how the circles are flowing here behind it. Maybe I should make this one smaller. Because with things like this, you kind of have to play around with it until you like it. So almost done here. Or maybe I'll make it bigger. I don't know. Make that bigger too. So I'm gonna tweak this a little bit more before I finalize it, and then I'll come back in just a second and show the finalized logo design. Okay, so here are our final logos. For this one that I was playing around with, I ended up doing away with the circles icon that I was thinking about behind the leaves. Ended up doing some dark leaf as the leading color, and then a couple of smaller, lighter ones in the background for almost like a layering effect there. And then these leaves definitely represent that renewal and that freshness and that wellness look and feel. And then ended up going with this green for the font. And then this one, the gray leaf on the watercolor background. Love this. Feels very calming, and then feels very elevated and elegant with this nice serif font. And then this one feels very approachable, welcoming. And then this one feels very fun and modern. So if I had to pick a favorite, I think I would say this one would probably be my favorite that I would want to go with for this. Yeah, but these are the 4 final options. So this just overviews my logo design process in real life. So you can see what it's like to go from an idea and like some words and symbolism to real life concepts that are here in full color.
So thanks for checking out the video on how I design my logos. If you want information on working with me for brand identity design and website design, you can click the link in the description with the comments with the video to get all the details on working together. And if you want to join the branding club, which is a club where you can get information on how to DIY your brand, how to DIY your marketing, and how to start building that polished, cohesive brand online, building your audience and attracting clients, you can get the details on that in the description as well. So thanks so much for checking out the video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you'll know whenever I upload new videos. And I will see you in the next one.